Although the tail beast's chakra has a strong boost to Naruto. It's even completely like wearing a weightless coat for Naruto, but can greatly enhance defense and attack power, and even attack methods. This allowed Naruto's fighting power to grow exponentially. But Sasuke will not be suppressed because of this. The ninja sword in his hand is under the control of Sasuke. The power of lightning style is instantly strengthened, and the short burst causes the ninja sword to vibrate with lightning. Boom. The ninja knife broke free from Naruto's hand, and Sasuke instantly used the impact to pull away. The moment he landed, the pace under his feet changed again. It turned into a flash of light and rushed from Naruto's right side. The ninja sword was swung out brazenly. The blade cut a strong flash in the air. Thunder and lightning suddenly erupted, crackling. The flashes of lightning made the audience's eyes blank, and they couldn't see any pictures at all. Immediately afterwards, the sound of clanging suddenly sounded. After the flash, in the arena, Sasuke's ninja knife slashed at Naruto's chest with an astonishing thunder. But due to the defense of the tailed beast chakra coat, no one could hurt Naruto. Naruto raised his hand and the chakra covered on his arm began to elevate directly. Grabbed quickly towards Sasuke. However, Sasuke, who is in a flash state, cannot keep up with Naruto's speed. A flicker directly, leaving a trail of lightning, Sasuke appeared behind Naruto again. One knife directly. Zzz. The sound of thunder and lightning sounded, and Naruto was directly chopped off. Beep. Naruto slammed into the wall, sending up an astonishing cloud of dust. While the effect looks amazing, it's nothing against the actual damage Naruto does. Naruto looked completely unaffected after getting up. Continue to rush towards Sasuke. The tail beast chakra on his body seems to be getting stronger. The tail beast chakra on Naruto is visible to the naked eye, becoming more intense. The color is more blood red. Although Naruto can maintain his sanity now, he felt that if he continued to fight, Naruto might go berserk before long. But now Sasuke wants to try instead, how far he can last when Jinchuriki goes berserk. Be able to hold on until Naruto launches the power of several tails. Zzz accelerating again. Sasuke's rapid explosion. Only Sasuke turned into lightning, passing by Naruto's side continuously. Every time the ninja knife passed by, lightning would explode, cutting crazily on Naruto's body. However, the chakra coat on Naruto was cut by Sasuke many times in a row. Finally, there was damage, but it recovered quickly and quickly. The amount of chakra in 9 tails is not just talk. This level of consumption is not painful at all. In the break room, Gaara looks at Naruto. This guy is really a Jinchuriki. Gently clenching his fists, Gaara now had a desire for the power of the tailed beast in his heart for the first time. If he can also control the power of the tailed beast like Naruto, will he be able to defeat Sasuke? Boom buzz. Suddenly Sasuke's attack was interrupted, although Naruto's speed was a beat slower than Sasuke's. Explosive tailed beast chakras Naruto, the attack range is too wide. Sasuke was sent flying by the extended arm. Sasuke hit the wall. This time the attack force was not small. Sasuke who stopped. Scarlet dripping from the corner of the mouth. Injured? The kid in Uchiha's house was injured. The 9 tails kid who is difficult to execute, he can fight the genius Sasuke to such an extent. A genius behind a crane. The current situation of these two people is now completely reversed. The Jonins also looked at Naruto who played well in the field. Unexpectedly, a 12-year-old Jinchuriki can control some chakra of tailed beasts. This talent is probably not worse than Sasuke's. Sasuke looked at Naruto in front of him. Looks like it won't work without a little trump card. He raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. Sasuke held the ninja sword with both hands. The movement made Orochimaru narrow his eyes slightly. Instinct told Orochimaru, Sasuke seemed to have some tricks that he didn't use. Are you going to use the power I gave you, Sasuke? Orochimaru really wanted to see if Sasuke was corrupted by the curse mark, and Naruto is now because of the tail beast chakra. It completely suppressed Sasuke, not to say that Sasuke is not strong, but Sasuke's attack is very difficult to break through the defense of the tail beast chakra. No matter how fast Sasuke is, it's useless if he doesn't use more power. He hit Naruto dozens of times, but Naruto only hit him once. It caused damage to Sasuke, and Sasuke should have felt the difference by now. Suddenly Sasuke made a very interesting move. He put the ninja knife on his waist, and bent his legs slightly. Make a slashing move. The lightning on his body also became a little weaker. Looks like chakra got weaker. At this moment, everyone felt that Sasuke seemed to be preparing to use some powerful tricks. Everyone held their breath in anticipation. Facing the Jinchuriki who broke out the tailed beast chakra, let alone a genin, even an elite jonin may not be able to deal with it. Sasuke. Although he is a genius, he is still a genin after all, just a kid. What can he do against Naruto? Sasuke is slowly adjusting his breathing. Unexpectedly, the object of this ninjutsu will be Naruto for the first time. Naruto also seemed to sense the change in Sasuke's momentum. Suddenly, the tail beast chakra became more active. As if defending against Sasuke's attack, Naruto stood where he was, waiting silently. And Sasuke didn't take too long. It was just a few seconds. After adjusting his breathing, Sasuke suddenly raised his head in the next second. There was an oppressive look in his eyes for an instant. At the same time Sasuke's hand went off. The hand holding the handle of the knife moved lightly, and at the same time, thunder and lightning erupted. Thunder breath. One shape. Thunderbolt flash. Prick. Crackling. At this moment, countless people suddenly opened their mouths wide and looked at the field in horror. A sudden thunderbolt flashed across the center of the field, as if splitting the entire field in half. A long black trace was left on the ground, with thunder and lightning faintly beating on it. At the same time, a strong lightning flash erupted from Naruto's chest. And behind him, Sasuke's body was still in a crouching state, with a residual electric light on his body, and he kept making crackling sounds. In an instant, a strike as fast as lightning. Everyone was stunned. The flash in the blink of an eye completely stunned everyone in the audience. Such speed. Such swiftness. Such amazing. At this moment, countless ninjas seemed to think of a person. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen recalled that man, Hitaki Sakumo. At the same time, he is also a man called Muyi Baya. This sword technique is no less than that of Muyi Baya back then, and even Sasuke seems to have shown stronger power. The thunder on Naruto's body gradually dissipated, and the torn chakra coat on the chest began to recover quickly. He turned his head back to look at Sasuke behind him. His eyes were full of disbelief. The knife just now was so fast, and at the same time carried the power of thunder, it even paralyzed his body for an instant. If it wasn't for this weird chakra that tightly protected his body, I'm afraid Naruto would have died in that instant. Zzz, the lightning dissipated on Sasuke's body. Sasuke turned around slowly, swinging the ninja sword lightly, moving his wrist while locking his eyes on Naruto's figure. Sure enough. One hit still can't break through it. Then if that's the case, let's continue. Sasuke's expression suddenly turned sharp again, and Naruto, who noticed Sasuke's change, quickly crossed his hands in front of him. The tailed beast chakra exploded more intensely. The strong wind that was raised was howling rapidly towards the surroundings. In the next second, Sasuke began to adjust his breathing again, and almost instantly entered the state of thunder breathing. The chakra fluctuations on his body began to become subtle again. Thunder breath. One shape. A flash of thunder. Crack. Sasuke burst out again at the same speed as before, and the lightning burst out in that instant. In an instant, the other rays of light around it were completely covered up. There was a flash of thunder and lightning in the field, but after this flash, the roar sounded again. Pipipi. 6 consecutive flashes. The ear-piercing sound of breaking wind rang 6 times without interruption. In an instant, it seemed as if a hexagon was drawn on the field. A flash of thunder, 6 companies, zzz. Sasuke's figure appeared in the center of the field, and the traces of 6 paths lightning split on Naruto in front of him appeared. Puff. Naruto spurted out a mouthful of blood the moment Sasuke stopped. Naruto, who is protected by the tailed beast chakra, who may be invulnerable to Thunderbolt 1 type Thunderbolt. But 6 flashes in a row is different. Naruto's face is a little pale now. Sasuke was reflected in his eyes. So strong. Sasuke, your strength. How can you be so powerful? I have already gained the upper hand, but you still have a stronger whole card waiting for me. Is this the world of genius? It turns out that you have already surpassed me too much. It's ridiculous that I still want to catch up with you. Naruto's consciousness was a little fuzzy. A huge trace of blood appeared on the chest, and the blood was being healed quickly. If it weren't for the fact that Chakra, the tail beast, was quickly repairing Naruto's body, ordinary people would have fallen down. However, as Naruto's consciousness gradually dissipated, an even worse situation has emerged. None of the surrounding ninjas had recovered from Sasuke's stunning attack. In the next second, the chakra on Naruto's body began to turn red gradually. The color of chakra, which was originally only bright red, began to gradually dim. A chakra wave full of violence spreads. Half-tailed beast. Sasuke's eyes narrowed slightly, and he took a few steps back slightly. Naruto is becoming a tailed beast. Seeing this, the referee Shiranui Genma is also ready to stop Naruto. Even the third generation in the stands stood up excitedly. If this makes Naruto go berserk at this time, it will be bad, then Konoha will become a laughingstock. Wait, he hasn't conceded defeat yet, our battle will continue. Sasuke directly stopped Genma Shiranui. Schwanma looked at Sasuke with some surprise. The situation is different now, kid, the battle can no longer go on, Naruto, No matter what he becomes, this is my fight, and unless I admit defeat, the fight will continue. The system has not judged that Sasuke has won, so Sasuke will not let others intervene in this battle. After all, the reward this time is a special pupil technique, Sasuke will never miss it. Boy. I don't know what else Huo Xuanzhen wants to say. In the next second, Sasuke has already started to do it directly. In this state of Naruto, if you continue to use the breath of thunder, the power is not easy to control, and it will be bad if you kill Naruto. But if you want to grasp the strength, Sasuke's grasp of thunder's breath is not enough now. It is impossible to control the strength precisely, after all, the sword is like a body, and it is really possible to drink Naruto's head if you are not careful. Since this is the case, it seems that there is really only one way to use it. Sasuke smiled helplessly. The lightning on his body disappeared instantly. Shiranui Genma doesn't know what Sasuke is doing. While telling myself not to intervene, while putting away my own chakra, what is this? However, when he was wondering, suddenly Sasuke's breath became different. From Sasuke's neck, a strange black pattern spread out, climbing up Sasuke's neck like a flame. In an instant, most of Sasuke's face was occupied. The moment the black flame pattern emerged, the chakra fluctuations on Sasuke's body began to become strange. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru's eyes widened rapidly. How did he do that? Perfectly controlled my curse mark. Obviously Sasuke activated the power of the curse seal, but Orochimaru didn't feel the curse seal began to erode Sasuke's body. He has never encountered such a situation. This has never happened to any container. Uchiha Sasuke, how on earth did you do it? Orochimaru's eyes fixed on Sasuke, and his breathing became short of breath. And Naruto, who ran away in an instant, seemed to have nearly lost his consciousness. Raising one hand high, a scarlet Rasengan appeared in an instant. The fluctuations caused by the red Rasengan directly changed the color of the entire examination room in an instant. Even rolling the storm quickly gathered in the direction of Naruto. The moment the roar sounded, everyone froze. Sasuke's expression also instantly became gloomy. Then come on. Chidori. Again with Rasengan. The right hand is lowered and the claws are instantly grasped, and the curse seal chakra is instantly gathered. Chidori. When the melodious birdsong sounded, the eyes of countless audiences expanded crazily throughout the instant. A black Chidori appeared in Sasuke's hand. The flickering black thunder shocked everyone. What is this chakra? How come it bursts out of the black lightning-style drape? Red Rasengan, black Chidori. When two different techniques appear in this form. At this moment, everyone including third generation was completely stunned. Luckily for Naruto, he is a Jinchuriki after all. it is normal for the appearance of the technique to be different when using the tailed beast chakra. But what's going on with Sasuke? Even from the outside, it is clear that the chakra that Sasuke is using now is extraordinary. Chidori. This art Kakashi as the creator is absolutely not wrong. However, Sasuke's Chidori looks very different now, and this can't be Chidori's changed form. It is because the chakra used is not a normal chakra. This made Chidori present such a strange color as black. Under such other colors, Kakashi was moved by it. Sasuke. What kind of power is this? Naruto has a tail beast, so what does Sasuke have? However, in the flashing moment, there is not much time left for Kakashi to think. Next second, Sasuke jumped up and fixed his gaze on Naruto. At the same time, Naruto also jumped up, waved the red 840 color Rasengan, and bombarded fiercely in the direction of Sasuke. This moment, the screen freezes. What caught the eyes of countless people was that the black lightning and the red Uzumaki were about to collide together. The astonishing roar at this moment seemed to have dissipated. Only 2 people in the air remained. Their figures gradually approached. Finally, Chidori and Rasengan collide. Boom. In an instant, the white brilliance spread rapidly, and in an instant, the bottom to bottom shone into white. Apart from white, there is no light at all between the sky and the earth. Everyone's eyes turned into a vast expanse of whiteness. Immediately afterwards, the white light shrank, forming a white ball of light. The ball of light swallowed the figures of Sasuke and Naruto. It formed a spherical shape with a diameter of about 2 meters, and then the black gradually spread out. A strange pattern is formed from the inside of the light sphere, and it continues to spread toward the periphery. Seeing such a scene, even Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't sit still at all. Not good, quick. Protect the auditorium. Third generation waved his hand, and the Anbu ninjas who were hiding in the dark jumped out one after another. Unleash ninjutsu and prepare to resist the terrorist impact that erupts next. At the same time, all the Jonins in the auditorium also cheered up. Just 2 genins fighting each other, how about making such a big commotion? Is this a battle between genins? Boom. Immediately afterwards, the strong shockwave produced by the explosion suddenly erupted. First the air suddenly shrank towards the center of the field and shrank crazily. The surrounding air was sucked back madly. Then it exploded in the next second. The strong shockwave directly cracked the walls around the venue in an instant. Dense cracks were blasted directly, and then the storm that erupted swept the entire examination room. Under this shockwave, if it wasn't for Anbu and the Jonins to block it, I am afraid that an unknown number of spectators will be instantly blown away by such a shockwave. Gaara erected her own sand walls, blocking the oncoming shockwaves from flooding the lounge. The impact lasted for a full 10 seconds. When the weather calmed down, all the audience were still in a daze. After recovering, he looked towards the center of the field. A huge pothole appeared. The field that was still flat before was now forcefully blasted into a huge pothole. And at the center of the pothole at this moment, Sasuke is standing here. However, compared with the appearance before the game, Sasuke looks very embarrassed now. The clothes on the upper body were completely gone, and were completely torn in the impact of the explosion just now. The hair also seems to be because of the explosion, and it looks like it has been scalded. Black smoke was still rising from his face. However, in front of him, Naruto was lying in the middle of the pothole. Has completely lost consciousness. Most of the clothes on his body were also destroyed. 2 people. One is standing and the other is lying down. The outcome of this battle appears to be in Naruto. Lost. Jinchuriki, who is going berserk, is defeated by Sasuke. This situation is very surprising. Ordinary viewers don't understand anything, but Sarutobi Hiruzen's mouth is wide enough to hold 2 eggs. At the age of 12, Sasuke has suppressed the manpower of the extreme general. It's unimaginable. The black lines on Sasuke's body gradually receded, and his whole body returned to its normal state. But it could be seen that there was a deep tiredness in Sasuke's eyes. Congratulations to host for defeating Naruto. Complete the Battle of Fate. Reward. Special Pupil Technique. The reward will be issued after the host awakens Mangekyo Sharingan. Congratulations to host, you have completed the Chunin exam. Acquire Chunin qualification reward 2, Chakra Attribute Awakening. Would you like to receive it now or are you done? Both tasks are done, Sasuke can rest easy now. Originally, I thought that I would have to wait for a period of time until Konoha announced the qualified list before I could pass the Chunin exam. Becoming a Chunin, it seems that the system does not care whether Konoha approves or not, but instead recognizes that he is already a Chunin. In this case, Sasuke doesn't have to be timid. Thinking of this, Sasuke's eyes became much more relaxed. Sasuke. You're fine. Suddenly Kakashi jumped to Sasuke's side, looking at Sasuke who seemed a little excited. Kakashi also understands, after all, it is inevitable that children will be excited after winning. But now is not the time to be excited. Sasuke has gone through a battle, and the state is not known, so it is necessary to check it in detail. Sasuke nodded. I'm fine. Kakashi-sensei. Hearing this, he looked at Naruto who was looking at the ground. He picked up Naruto and checked Naruto's breathing. There was nothing wrong with it. Naruto just passed out. This made Kakashi slightly relieved. However, at this time, feathers suddenly fell from the sky. Kakashi looked up suspiciously. At this moment Sasuke was also taken aback. Is this the beginning? Shouldn't wait until Gaara comes out. Although I don't know why it is different from the original, but Sasuke has now made a decision since he has obtained the qualification of Chunin and has been rewarded by the system. Then there is no need for him to stay in Konoha. Grab the sealed book and leave Konoha. Sasuke suddenly raised his head to look at Kakashi in front of him. Sasuke. While Sasuke was thinking, suddenly Kakashi looked back at Sasuke. This is an illusion. Hurry up. But halfway through Kakashi's words, Sasuke raised his head and looked at him speechlessly. Of course Sasuke knows this is an illusion, and it is naturally impossible to confuse Sasuke with this level of illusion. It was only at this time that Kakashi realized that Sasuke's accomplishments in illusion can be said to be as popular as Yuhi's. There is no need for him to worry. Ms. Kakashi, you are fine. Hearing this, Kakashi shook his head, just looked up at the audience, who gradually fell into a coma. Even some of the Jonin got tricked, but that's not something to worry about yet. The point is why all of a sudden someone is using such a range of illusions. What is this trying to do? Beep. Suddenly there was a violent noise in the lounge. Suddenly, a large cloud of sand burst out. The sweeping sand surged crazily towards the outside, and among them, Hyuga Neji, Shikamaru and others lost their fighting power instantly in the sudden burst of sand. Was thrown to the playing field. Sasuke shot and caught the two. The next second, Gaara, who was stepping on the sand, looked at Sasuke below. It's a pity that I can't fight you again. After saying that, Gaara left directly. At the same time, Kankuro and Temari are still guarding around Gaara. Just when Kakashi wanted to ask what was going on, suddenly Jonin Baki from Sand Shinobi appeared. Hitaki Kakashi. I have long wanted to fight against the famous technician of Konoha. Today I finally got my wish. Jonin from Sand Shinobi rushed out suddenly, explaining that this matter has something to do with Sand Shinobi. And the ninjas who jumped out everywhere in the next second also showed that this incident had an inevitable connection with Sand Shinobi. Crack. 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 At this moment, there were violent explosions everywhere in Konoha. Although I don't know what happened outside in the examination room, it is obviously a conspiracy against Konoha. I don't know what the enemy wants to do, but no matter what the enemy wants to do, it must be stopped at this time. Kakashi glanced at the unconscious Naruto in his arms. Nine Tails Jinchuriki is naturally the top priority at this time. He turned and handed Naruto to Sasuke. Watch out for Naruto Sasuke. This time seems to be an extraordinary mission. Surround Konoha. Guard Naruto's safety. This is an S-rank task. Can you do it? Hearing this, Sasuke's expression is a bit complicated. He is now planning to steal the sealed book, and at the same time he is planning to leave Konoha. At this time, I don't have the heart to guard Konoha. Sasuke looked at Naruto in front of him. Sorry Kakashi-sensei, I can't do it. Hearing this, Kakashi froze for a moment. Sasuke, this is Naruto, I will get him to safety, but I will not stand by and watch this fight. Saying this, Sasuke forgot to glance at where Gaara left. Now he needs an excuse to get out of here and head to the Hokage building. Jinchuriki from Sand Shinobi, Gaara left just now. Looking at the Sand Shinobi ninjas jumping out all around, they are fighting with Konoha's ninjas. As Jinchuriki Gaara, I'm afraid it won't be as simple as running away. I'll go after Gaara. Hearing this, Kakashi nodded. Sasuke's mind is still very good, and he suddenly thought of it now. Gaara as Jinchuriki leaves suddenly. I'm afraid they are preparing to start Jinchuriki's runaway, and then wreak havoc on Konoha. In such a situation, it really cannot be left alone. Then Naruto, please send it to a safe place. It is said that Sasuke took over Naruto and took Hyuga Neji and Shikamaru along with him. I took a look at Sand Shinobi's Baki. This guy is not weak. At least he can still wrestle with Kakashi. Sasuke would also like to fight this guy if he can. After all, up to now, Sasuke hasn't really fought too many Jonin outside the village. But now is not the time. Sasuke jumped onto the auditorium with Naruto, Shikamaru, and Neji. Might Guy, who was fighting Sand Shinobi at the moment, saw Sasuke who jumped over suddenly. He also wanted to ask how Kakashi was doing down there. Why Kakashi didn't follow, but Sasuke threw Naruto over. Take Neji Shikamaru aside. Mr. Guy, please take care of Naruto. Said Sasuke did not wait for what Might Kaido said. He jumped straight to prepare to jump out of the examination room. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the chaotic examination room, turned his head and glanced at the fourth Kazekage beside him. Master Kazekage. What is this plan to do? Hearing this, Feng Ying smiled. The Konoha collapse plan has officially started. Lord Third Hokage, please stay here for this period of time. Swish. A shuriken stabbed at third generation. Third generation reacted very quickly, and directly took off third Hokage's attire at close range. Get away and distance yourself, revealing the battlesuit inside. He raised his head and looked at fourth Kazekage in front of him solemnly. You are not Feng Ying. Now that he was seen through, Orochimaru stopped pretending. He lifted off his clothes directly to reveal his true face. Orochimaru, it really is you. Third generation's complexion became a little ugly. The disciple he was most proud of, now wants to attack Konoha. Boom. Suddenly Orochimaru jumped to the roof, and third generation followed. Sasuke, who left the examination room at this moment, looked back at the four purple flames rising above the roof of the examination room. Orochimaru begins. If possible, I would like to participate in this battle, but unfortunately, the sealed book is more important to me. Sasuke walked quickly towards the Hokage building without looking back. As for Gaara's direction, this guy is heading out of Konoha village. It takes a lot of time to activate one tail, and it cannot be disturbed. In this case, Gaara can only leave Konoha for the time being. After pushing one tail, return to Konoha for crazy destruction. Without the obstruction of Naruto and others, after Gaara launched one tail and went berserk, what would happen to Konoha? Sasuke was also somewhat unpredictable. It seems that this Konoha collapse plan will be much more successful than in the original book. Sasuke smiled. At the same time, he has also arrived at the Hokage building. And Bai, who had been waiting here for a long time, jumped out. Master Sasuke. Sasuke, my lord? Sasuke glanced at Bai with some strange eyes. But at this moment Shiro didn't notice Sasuke's gaze at all. Because there were fierce fighting sounds all around. The moment Konoha's collapse plan started, the whole Konoha was in a mess. In the distance, a few summoning beasts from Orochimaru are frantically destroying Konoha. A large number of ninjas are helping ordinary people take refuge, and at the same time organizing people to deal with summoning beasts. There are also a large number of Sand Shinobi ninjas invading Konoha, and these also need Konoha's ninjas to resist. Sasuke-sama, the Anbu ninja of the Hokage building, almost half of them are gone. There are about 20 Anbu ninjas stationed now. As he spoke, Bai pointed at the Hokage building. Sorry, Mr. Sasuke, there seems to be some kind of barrier in the Hokage building, and the barrier was opened as soon as the battle started. Obviously Konoha is prepared for any time. Once Konoha is in turmoil, the shadow building will immediately start the defense. Sasuke also noticed this time.
It turned out that those strange pillars on the top of the Hokage building were actually prepared for the activation of the enchantment.
This enchantment does not seem to be easily broken. Of course, if Pain's Shenluo Tianjung wanted to break through such a defense, it would be very simple. But if it is Sasuke, it will be a little troublesome for Sasuke to break this level of enchantment. If you make too much noise, you may need to pay attention. After all, there is still a heavyweight in Konoha now. Jiraiya, one of the Sannin. According to the situation in the original book, Jiraiya is also in Konoha now. If Jiraiya is eyeing him, it will be very difficult for Sasuke to escape from this person. Sasuke gritted his teeth lightly. It seemed that stealing the sealing hand was more difficult than he imagined. It's not that easy to do, is it just to give up? Thinking of this, Sasuke had a hard time making a decision. But at this moment, suddenly there was an explosion in the Hokage building. Beep. After a loud bang, black smoke rose from the Hokage building. Immediately after the barrier dissipated, there were bursts of screams from inside. This situation surprised Sasuke a little. This is. The two glanced at each other. Sasuke rushed directly into the Hokage building in the first place. Shiro beside him is now wearing Konoha's forehead protector, which won't attract attention at all. Entering the interior of the Hokage building, Sasuke watches the ninjas fall along the way. In addition to the more than 20 Anbu ninjas stationed there are not a few ninjas in the Hokage building itself. If it wasn't for the Chunin exam today, usually Konoha elite jonin like Nara Shikaku also stay in the Hokage building from time to time. In this case, how difficult it is to attack the Hokage building. But today is different. Lu Ju was also at the venue of the Chunin exam. After all, his son was going to compete, so it was impossible for him not to watch his own son's competition. This leads to the extreme emptiness of the Hokage building. Sasuke shuttled through the corridor. Suddenly looking up, a bone spur pierced through the roof. Look at the white bones. Sasuke's eyes narrowed slightly. No wonder there was an explosion in the Hokage building, and even the barriers were broken. It turned out that Orochimaru had sent this one. Kaguya Kimimaro. In terms of combat effectiveness, Sasuke thinks this guy is not weaker than a cage-level ninja at all. You must know that Orochimaru killed 4th Kazekage, and there is almost a 70% possibility that it was because of Kimimaro's coordination. This allowed 4th Kazekage to be killed by Orochimaru. After killing 4th Kazekage, Kimimaro was very weak, but even so, as his disease worsened, he almost beat Lee Locke in a row, and even almost killed Gaara. With this kind of pervert combat power, it is not too difficult to deal with dozens of Anbu ninjas. Sasuke glanced at Shiro. Let's go. Let's hurry up. Sasuke doesn't want Kimimaro to get the sealed book first, although Orochimaru will give it to him in the end. But Sasuke wanted to hold the sealed book in his own hands. Master Sasuke, there seem to be enemies up there. Do you want to use this knife first? Seeing Shiro, who was handing over the beheading sword, Sasuke smiled. This guy is now his own. Forget it. No. No need. Strictly speaking, the guy above may not be considered an enemy. Possibly even a companion soon. Go upstairs quickly and come to the second floor of the Hokage building. It was only when I came here that the aisles became more bloody, and there were blood flowing everywhere. Anbu's ninjas were brutally killed, and with Sasuke's eyesight, it is not difficult to see that these ninjas were all killed in one blow, without any redundant movements at all. Kimimaro. Taijutsu is very strong. Sasuke continued to walk forward. Go down the long hallway to Hokage's office. The Book of Seals is just behind Hokage's office. In the room closest to Hokage, there are no barriers or specially arranged guards here. Originally, this is the core of Konoha, which has the strongest combat power of Konoha. Hokage is all here if not for exceptional circumstances. In this case, do you need to arrange any special guards? Naturally, it is not necessary. Sasuke pushed open the door. In the room where the light is not too bright, the sealed book placed obliquely on the stone pillar stands in the center. In front of it, Kimimaro is considering the use of the seal. Hearing the movement behind him, Kimimaro didn't look back, he just turned around and a bone spur shot out quickly. However, the next second, choke. The decapitating knife bounced off the bone spurs. Shiro, sweating profusely, brandished the beheading knife and stood in front of Sasuke. He looked at the man in front of him with some horror on his face. The breath from this guy made Bai feel extremely stressed. This is a guy who is not easy to fight, and even just feeling the breath of the other party, it is faintly like being strangled by the neck. Uchiha. Sasuke. But the opponent directly bypassed Shiro, and his eyes fell on Sasuke. Kimimaro looked at Sasuke blankly. Sasuke, who was valued by Lord Orochimaru before he was taken under his command. Kimimaro has a love-hate relationship with Sasuke. Love that Orochimaru found the vessel of satisfaction, hate why it was Sasuke, and not himself. Sasuke patted Shiro on the shoulder. Come out from behind. Kimimaro right. Thank you for helping me get rid of these people, let me seal it. Hearing this, Kimimaro frowned. That's not what Master Orochimaru ordered. But Sasuke seems to be planning to steal the sealed book himself, which means that Sasuke will become a traitor. If this is the case, then it means that Sasuke is leaving Konoha. Are you going to follow Master Orochimaru? Kimimaro looked at Sasuke and didn't speak immediately. Instead, he looked Sasuke carefully up and down. The Book of Sealing. Although Lord Orochimaru promised you something, it can't just be handed over to you right now. Sasuke frowned slightly. If Kimimaro doesn't give it, it's really troublesome. Do you fully believe that Orochimaru will give you the sealed book? Sasuke can't completely trust Orochimaru. Lang Jun Orochi may dig some holes and wait for himself to jump. It is better to hold the sealed book in your hand. But is it time to play Kimimaro? Although Sasuke is not without confidence to fight Kimimaro, but the time and place are not suitable. Don't worry. I don't plan to stay in Konoha anymore. I got this thing to gain more power. And before I can practice the above technique, I also need a shelter, and it is my plan to seek refuge with Master Orochimaru. Sasuke tries to convince Kimimaro. Then follow me, I have to hand over this thing to Master Orochimaru. One said as Kimimaro grabbed the sealed book. If you don't give it to me now, it's fine, then wait for Orochimaru to find me with the seal. I'll be waiting for you at Konoha. Waiting in Konoha? Kimimaro frowned. Does this mean Master Orochimaru will vomit again? Although Kimimaro absolutely believes in Orochimaru's strength, but returning to a place like Konoha again will encounter many dangers. After all, Konoha is not so easy to mess with. Give it to me. I'll go with you. Otherwise I'll stay in Konoha and wait for your next visit. Throwing this question to Kimimaro, it was difficult for Kimimaro to make a decision for a while. Not wanting to risk Lord Orochimaru again, Kimimaro glanced at Sasuke. Raise your hand and throw the sealed book directly to Sasuke. Take it. It's not safe yet. Sasuke, who caught the sealed book, looked at the huge scroll in his hand. This is the sealed book that records many forbidden techniques of Konoha, and there are many forbidden techniques created by second Hokage on it. Flying Thunder God, Impure World Reincarnation, and probably many unknown forbidden techniques. This sealed book is simply Konoha's most precious possession. Sasuke, who got the sealed book, couldn't help but want to open it immediately. But reason tells Sasuke that it is not the time yet. It's best to leave now. While Konoha is still in chaos, if I don't leave as soon as possible and stay in Konoha, I might meet Jiraiya, and it's hard to leave at that time. Carry the sealed book behind your back. Sasuke finally had a smile on his face now. Next. Just when Sasuke wanted to ask Kimimaro, should he leave Konoha with him next, or go to the location of the examination venue to meet Orochimaru. But at this moment, the sound of the system sounds. Bringing the Book of Seals and defecting to Konoha, successfully escaped from Konoha's range. Reward. 1 copy of Blood Successor Limit. Sasuke's eyes shrank suddenly, looking at the task popped up by the system. He never thought that stealing the sealed book could trigger such a task. And the reward turned out to be the Blood Succession Limit. That would be great. Sasuke put away the smile on his face, and looked at Kimimaro very seriously. Next. Do you want to leave Konoha with me first, or go to meet Orochimaru? Hearing this, Kimimaro smiled. Without me. Do you know where to go? Right. Without this guy, I couldn't find Orochimaru's lair. It seems that Kimimaro is planning to act together with him. Leading the way is only one reason. I am afraid that the more reason is to guard himself. I was afraid that I would fly away with the sealed book. Sasuke will not leave. After all, in addition to the Book of Seals, Sasuke also wants to learn fairy arts. Mount Myoboku's senjutsu, Sasuke is not counting on. But Ryuchi Cave's senjutsu Sasuke is still looking forward to. So Orochimaru is naturally unavoidable, and according to the development of the original plot, I also need to stay by Orochimaru's side. In this way, the plot will not change too much as possible. In this way Sasuke can better control what will happen in the future. But now he stole the sealed book and defected to Konoha with the sealed book. Once it is discovered, the impact will naturally be huge. It may even become the worst defection incident in Konoha's history. But it doesn't matter, it doesn't make much sense to stay in Konoha. Then let's go. Saying that, Sasuke glanced at the Anbu members lying on the ground. He picked up a mask casually and put it on his face slowly. Although he decided to defect, he still had to be careful before he escaped from Konoha. If it is discovered, it may be possible to escape with this. Bye. You also pretend, said Sasuke. Glanced at Kimimaro. This guy looks like an enemy at first glance. You should change your clothes too. You are so conspicuous. Hearing this, Kimimaro looked at his clothes, frowned and picked a guy who was about the same size as him. Put on his clothes. 3 Anbu ninjas quickly jumped out of the Hokage building. Sasuke, who is carrying a scroll, looks a little conspicuous, but it is not too strange for a ninja to wear scrolls. After all, there are scrolls for storing items, and some battle props prepared by ninjas will be stored in the scrolls for easy portability. It's just that even after Sasuke and the others disguised themselves, it seems that luck is not too good. Just walked a short distance. He was stopped by another team of Anbu ninjas. Come here, 3 of you, and join us to deal with Sand Shinobi to the east. Quick. He was scolded by Captain Anbu, who suddenly appeared. Sasuke, Kimimaro, and Bai just hesitated for a moment, then immediately turned around and followed them. Sasuke, who mixed into Anbu's army, took a look at the team. At this time, other Anbu members were also looking at Sasuke. Because of Sasuke's body shape, he looks like a little ghost. When did Anbu join with such a little ghost? Kimimaro's figure is not a problem, and Shiro is taller than Sasuke, and at the same time, he is carrying a big sword, beheading sword, and it seems that he is not weak in combat. It's just that Sasuke, a thin companion who still carries a scroll, is really capable of fighting. Hi. Which team are you on? Captain Anbu is really curious. With Sasuke's body shape, is he really an Anbu ninja? Never heard of when Anbu had such a small guy. If so, it should be easy to remember. Sasuke sighed helplessly. Sure enough, his body shape problem is not easy to get away with it. No, Sasuke didn't think about using the transformation technique. It's the most rudimentary transformation technique. Even if it doesn't need Sharingan, it can be easily used by ninjas. Not to mention in the eyes of Anbu ninjas, it's so easy to see through the transformation technique. Sasuke opened his mouth and was thinking in his mind how to answer the other party's question. But the next second, swish, a shuriken flew straight towards him, and Sasuke raised his hand to directly take over the shuriken that flew upwards. Seeing this scene, Captain Anbu froze for a moment. Turn your head and look in that direction. It's the ninja from Sand Shinobi. Get ready to fight. The Sand Shinobi troops rushed out from the houses on both sides, which solved Sasuke's urgent need. These guys have to say that they appeared in a hurry. Sasuke took out a shuriken from the ninja bag. At this time, it can't be too eye-catching. Try not to attract anyone's attention, and at the same time, if you cannot use ninjutsu, you must not use ninjutsu as much as possible. Otherwise, Sasuke's ninjutsu, except fire style, is easy to see. Jingle. Sasuke knocked down all the hidden weapons that flew towards him. He turned his head and glanced in Kimimaro's direction. Kimimaro didn't rush forward either, but looked at Sasuke and Shiro, and bent his eyes to signal them to take advantage of the melee to escape. Sasuke nodded secretly, however at this time. Deep in the ground of Konoha, among the bases of the root organization. Danzo is in a good mood right now. After this time, I will have the final say on Sleepy Leaf. Hiruzen, your weakness will only ruin Konoha. Only in my hands can Konoha become better. Orochimaru's Konoha collapse plan, Danzo already knew about it. How could there be so many Sand Shinobi ninjas if it wasn't for him to help Orochimaru cover? And Yinin was able to sneak into Konoha successfully. Although Orochimaru didn't get along with Danzo about these things, they were all tacit things. Now none of the ninjas in the routes have been dispatched, and Konoha's chaos was also intentional by Danzo. However, Danzo is looking forward to waiting for Hiruzen to die, and becoming Hokage himself will lead Konoha to become the strongest ninja village in the ninja world. Shred all the enemies standing in front of Konoha. Master Danzo, Hokage building hacked. What? Danzo suddenly turned his head to look at the Anbu ninja who was kneeling in front of him behind him. What did you say? Report to Mr. Danzo. The Hokage building was invaded by unknown ninjas, the barrier of the Hokage building was broken, and all the ninjas guarding the Hokage building were killed. Even. Speaking of this guy's forehead has begun to break out in cold sweat. Because Danzo was staring at him with very scary eyes. Even the sealed book is gone, it should have been taken away by the invaders. Beep. After the guy finished speaking, he was directly pulled aside by Danzo's cane. Waste. That Sarutobi guy is a piece of trash, he doesn't even know the guards of the Hokage building. Sure enough, Konoha will only go to perish in his hands. Unidentified ninja, although it is not known who did it, it must be someone from Orochimaru. He even paid attention to this. Take Konoha's sealed book, but it's not so hard to accept it on Orochimaru's body. After all, Orochimaru likes to study forbidden technique. Danzo is not the first day to know. It's just that he didn't expect that at this time, Orochimaru would kill two birds with one stone. While wanting to destroy Konoha and take revenge on Sarutobi, he also wants to steal the sealed book. All root organizations are dispatched, and the person who stole the sealed book must be captured. Konoha can be destroyed. Sarutobi can also die. Even sacrificing some civilians is fine, but the sealed book can't have any problems. There are too many taboos of Konoha recorded above. Once these ninjutsu spread in the ninja world, especially if they fell into the hands of hostile villages, then the consequences are unimaginable. Thinking of this, even Danzo has to do it now. Who the hell are they? Is there such a guy in Orochimaru's subordinates? To be able to break into the Hokage building and kill that many Anbu ninjas and take the sealed book. Such a ninja at least has the strength of an elite Jonin. Underestimated Orochimaru. It seems that Orochimaru has trained quite a few ninjas over the years. The root organization is fully dispatched. At the same time, there are ninjas of the Aburame family, who can track the enemy through the residual smell of the Hokage building. The enemy can't run far, and definitely hasn't left Konoha village now. With the dispatch of root ninjas, Konoha can clearly see more ninjas wearing masks, constantly popping up from everywhere. But these ninjas completely ignored the fight between Konoha shinobi, Sand shinobi, and Sound ninja who were fighting fiercely. He wholeheartedly searched for the person who stole the sealed book. Sasuke looked at the way out left by the summoning beast in the distance. From here you will be able to escape Konoha very quickly. But the problem is, the root ninja who suddenly appeared blocked the way of the three of Sasuke. More than a dozen root ninjas suddenly appeared. One of them waved his hand, and a small bug flew straight towards Sasuke. Bai grabbed it easily with his hand and crushed it to death, but even if the bug is dead, the sealed book will be exposed. That guy should be carrying the sealed book. You actually pretended to be an Anbu ninja, and you want to take advantage of the chaos to take away the sealed book? If the three of you choose to surrender now, we will consider letting you die a little easier. Swish swish swish, after the words fell, more than a dozen Anbu ninjas appeared. It seems that it is absolutely impossible to leave Konoha quietly today. Sasuke sighed, but Shiro beside him was very nervous. To be honest, facing so many enemies, it is impossible not to be nervous. Rush out. It seems there is no other way. As Kimimaro said, he raised his hand and shot a bone blade from his palm instantly. Seeing Kimimaro's bone blade, the ninjas at the root were stunned for a moment. What kind of scare is this? Watch more and more root ninjas. If you don't hurry up and get out of the tight encirclement, I'm afraid it will become more troublesome in the future. Sasuke glanced at Shiro beside him. It was obvious that Bai's body was trembling slightly. This kind of scene probably followed Zaibuzon's side in vain, and he has never encountered it before. Sasuke slowly draws out the kunai. His gaze stayed on Bai's body. Superior. The next second Sasuke's voice sounded. At the same time, Kimimara's figure rose directly, heading towards the nearest root ninja. His speed was extremely astonishing, and the sudden outburst made this rooted ninja seem a little overwhelmed. He wanted to raise his hand to block Kimimara's attack with kunai, but in the next second Kimimaro shot a bone spur directly from his elbow, penetrating his throat in an instant. Blood burst from his neck. The faces of the other root ninjas suddenly became much gloomy. These guys who stole the sealed book are indeed not weak. Do it. Don't give them the machine rash. Not giving a chance? Sasuke's eyes stayed on the guy who kept talking. Capture the thief first and capture the king first. There are already too many root ninjas. They need to be deterred a little so that they can stand out from the encirclement without spending too much effort. Sasuke made one-handed mudra. A simple seal of one child. 820. Next second. Crack, crack. An astonishing thunder suddenly sounded. Terrible thunder flashes in the air. Lightning-style tilde operator Lei Shun body. Under the horrified eyes of the root ninjas, a flash of lightning suddenly came in front of their captain. And when the lightning dissipated, a kunai pierced through his skull easily. The blood mixed with the brain suddenly exploded. The drops of blood scattered in the air slowly bloomed like lotus flowers. Sasuke's hand gently held kunai and pulled it out. The body swept towards the rear along the trend. One strike. Instantly a root ninja captain. Sasuke felt the feeling of robbing life just now. This is what killing feels like. This feeling is very good. The feeling of being in control of someone else's life and death is indeed intoxicating. It's no wonder that after many people become stronger, they will change from Superman to Motherlander. This feeling. Even Sasuke can't help being a little obsessed now. Team leader. Plop. Looking at the captain who fell on the ground, the ninjas at the root were stunned. This seemingly short guy actually killed their captain in an instant? All root ninjas seemed to be immobilized. Even Kimimaro looked at Sasuke in surprise. Shoot cleanly. This kid is born to be a murderous monster. Be careful. These guys are hard to deal with. The root ninja will not shrink back just because the captain is killed. Although I was shocked, I really felt the fear. But the fight must go on. Sasuke held kunai with his backhand. Raise your hand and look at the ninjas in front of you. Beware of your own roots. Sasuke took a sharp breath. The hand that plays mudra too. Fire style. Fire dragon explosion technique. Boom. The fire that swept out in an instant formed a terrifying fire wave, and swept towards the root ninjas crazily. At this moment, the ninjas at the root were also shocked. The size of this guy's fire style is amazing. And just now it seemed that he was doing the seal with one hand, and there was not much seal movement at all. It shows that the opponent has mastered this technique to the level of an incomparable grandmaster, the flames that swept over in an instant. It hit the houses one after another, and was swallowed by fire style in a blink of an eye. Water style. Water chaos. ×4 at the same time, the four rooted ninjas released water style, and the moment the flames collided with the water, an astonishing roar erupted. At the same time, a large amount of fog emerged. Four rooted ninjas combined to barely block Sasuke's fire style. However, they didn't have time to breathe a sigh of relief in the next second. Crack. Thunder rang out. Lightning style, lightning flashes all over the body. Sasuke continuous knot seal. The chakra in the body is also consumed exponentially, but what Sasuke needs is the speed of ultimate. Every time the thunder flashes, Sasuke appears behind a root ninja with a sword in hand. Kunai cut their necks. The moment blood gushed out, Sasuke's figure disappeared. Sweep towards the direction of the next root ninja again. With the mist of water vapor, Sasuke's figure is like a ghost. Constantly shuttle among the crowd. Just a few breaths. When the mist dissipates, a dozen root ninjas. It has become corpses all over the place. With Mudra in one hand and Sasuke with bloody kunai in the other, he ruthlessly harvested the lives of these ninjas like a ghost. There was a strong smell of blood in the air. Kimimaro crushed a root ninja's neck casually and turned to look in Sasuke's direction. He is quite satisfied with Sasuke now. Bai also dealt with 2 weaker root ninjas. In a blink of an eye, there were only 5 or 6 root ninjas that surrounded the 3 of Sasuke. Although there seemed to be black shadows flickering in the rear, they were constantly coming. Now the exit is not far behind the 3 of Sasuke. Escaping Konoha is no longer a big problem. Sasuke looked at the root ninja coming from a distance, and dropped a few kunai. He turned his head and glanced at Bai, who was in a daze. "Let's go." Bai nodded, but she felt that Sasuke was a little scary now. Turn out to be this Uchiha Sasuke. So strong, it only took a few breaths to solve more than a dozen ninjas. The clean kill makes people feel a little shuddering. The 3 of them fled toward the gap, and the root ninjas who came from behind crossed the battlefield left by Sasuke and others. Glancing at the companion, who had fallen on the ground, they were equally astonished. These 3 people killed dozens of ninjas in the blink of an eye? Boom. Suddenly an explosion sounded, and the detonator left by Sasuke detonated. The second group of Genbu ninjas came after them, 20 of them, only a few survived. The pungent smell of blood came from the gunpowder smoke. Kimimaro nodded in satisfaction. The time calculation of this detonating talisman is very ingenious. Uchiha Sasuke, as expected of Master Orochimaru's fancy container, this talent is indeed amazing. How many? You guys don't seem to be Anbu's ninjas. Suddenly a strange voice sounded. When the 3 Poles were approaching the gap, one suddenly appeared. However, this person is not unfamiliar to Sasuke. The person who came was not someone else. It's Konoha's elite Jonin. Sarutobi Asuma. As the son of Hiruzen, Asuma is not weak in control. When he was young, he was able to be elected as the guardian of the Fire Country Daimyo, one of the 12 guards. There is no doubt that its strength is strong, and Asuma is not weaker than Kaka West in terms of overall strength. Unfortunately, Asuma didn't have a great record. For Sasuke, when Asuma appeared at this time, the situation was not too good. An elite Jonin of Konoha is blocking the way. It is not so easy to break through. I heard a lot of movement here just now. As he spoke, Asuma looked towards the position behind the 3 of them. There were corpses everywhere, and these ninjas were all wearing masks. Apparently they were all from Konoha Anbu, 3 people. Having easily dealt with so many Anbu ninjas, it would be absolutely impossible to let them go so easily. That knife. I know it. Asuma noticed the beheading sword on Shiro's back. One of Mist Shinobi's 7 ninja swords, the beheading sword if I remember correctly. As he said that, Asuma took out his fist blade and looked at the 3 of them very vigilantly. I didn't expect the ninjas from Mist Shinobi to participate in this invasion of Konoha. If Kirigakure has been blocked, then you should be the traitor of Mist Shinobi. It seems that Asuma regards Shiro as Mist Shinobi's betrayal. But the other 2, I don't know who you are. It's not okay to pretend to be a ninja from Konoha Anbu. Kimimaro smiled and clenched his fist lightly. At the same time Sasuke also noticed Kimimaro's small movements. This action does not seem to be too noteworthy for Asuma. But for Sasuke, he understood what Kimimaro meant in an instant. Although the 2 didn't have any communication, this feeling was very subtle. Sasuke put his hand gently behind him on the scroll across his waist. This action also let Kimimaro understand that Sasuke is ready. Since Konoha is here, stay here. Asuma's gaze gradually became sharper. The moment he finished speaking, Kimimaro exploded immediately. The sudden burst of speed, although very fast. For the average Anbu ninja or Chunin, it may not be very responsive. But for Asuma, it is naturally impossible not to react. Chakra erupted instantly, and the fist blade in his hand was filled with chakra of wind attribute. Oncoming Kimimaro had 2 bone spurs in his hands, and stabbed straight towards Asuma fiercely. Looking at the bone spurs that drilled out of the palm, Asuma's eyes narrowed slightly. Is this the blood succession limit? Kirigakure's Wei Yoruichi clan? Dang dang. Using the fist blade to block Kimimoro's bone spur, the accompanying wind familiar chakra rubbed against the bone spur to burst out a series of sparks. Asuma kicked Kimimaro hard in the stomach. In terms of physical skills, Asuma is not weak, even against a ninja like Kimimaro who specializes in physical skills. Can handle that too. However, in the next second Kimimaro was hit, and his body flew out in an instant. The figures intertwine. Sasuke suddenly appeared behind Kimimaro, swooped down, and rushed out from Kimimaro's side. Asuma's eyes contracted rapidly. These two people are a perfect match. Kimimaro took the initiative to attack. While attracting his attention, he used his figure to block his companion's figure. The moment he is repelled, his companions take over the attack. This kind of coordination is indeed extremely tacit. However, the two didn't have any communication just now, which shows that this is not an ordinary ninja. Both of them are obviously battle-hardened monsters who have even fought countless times together. But if Sasuke knew that Asuma thought so, he would probably laugh out loud. Sasuke rushed to Asuma with the help of Kimimaro. Immediately, the kunai in his hand stabbed towards Asuma rapidly. A quick swing of the fist blade, sparks splash. Sasuke's attack was blocked. In the next second, Asuma quickly counterattacked, and seized the opportunity if he didn't think of a way to injure one of them at this time. Then the next battle is naturally extremely difficult for Asuma. But just when Asuma wanted to fight back, he killed Sasuke instantly. A black shadow passed over Asuma's head. Asuma saw this moment from the corner of his eye. That was also the figure of Sasuke. For a split second, Asuma's eyes trembled. This is Shadow Clone. Too bad for that little guy. 2. At this moment, Sasuke's frontal blow was blocked, and he was ready to launch a second blow immediately. Asuma quickly stopped the attack that was about to be shot, turned around and accelerated towards Sasuke who was fleeing outside the village. Kid. Don't even try to escape Konoha. Accelerating to catch up with Asuma, Sasuke, chakra in the center stabs Commander's back with incomparable precision. However, Asuma felt bad when he hit Commander's help. This kind of touch. As this avatar? Turning back, Asuma looked at Sasuke behind him. Sasuke standing in place, the opponent's eyes are blood red, and there are 3 hook jades slowly rotating. Sharingan. How is it possible? Boom. ZZZ. Sasuke, who was stabbed suddenly, exploded, and the lightning bolt instantly paralyzed Asuma's body. And at this moment Asuma wanted to release ninjutsu. But Sasuke's eyes are staring at him, lightning style's paralyzing effect plus Sasuke's illusion. It directly caused Asuma to completely lose control of his body at this moment. And at this time, a rapid breaking wind sound hit. Asuma looked up at Kimimaro who was running towards him. The opponent's figure was constantly enlarged in his eyes. Soon, a black shadow completely enveloped his eyes. Beep. The bone spur in Kimimaro's hand pierced Asuma's chest hard. And with one blow, Asuma flew out and hit the wall. Cracks like spider webs appeared on the wall. In the next second, Asuma spurted out a mouthful of blood. Then he raised his head. Kimimaro was already standing in front of him. The bone spur in his hand was aimed at his throat. Is this Konoha's elite Jonin? That's all. Kimimaro snorted coldly, and gently pushed his hand forward. However, at this moment, a mass of white things climbed onto Asuma's body and dragged Asuma away. Beep. Kimimaro's attack misses. Just left a hole in the wall. Kimimaro turned around slowly, looking behind him. His expression instantly became incomparably dignified. Mouth. The reason for Kimimaro's serious expression is simple. Because the person who rescued Asuma just now is in existence on the same level as Orochimaru. Konoha's Sannin. Wild Ghost, Jiraiya. Sasuke is also very speechless now. The worrying thing happened after all. And he didn't even react to Jiraiya's shot just now. Because Jiraiya rescued Asuma with ninjutsu not far behind him. The technique used by the opponent controlled his hair, entangled Asuma's body and took it away directly. Originally, Sasuke felt that even if his current strength was not as good as that of Sannin, he could still match the wrist of a ninja at the Sannin level. But at that moment just now, the hair that swept across the ground, if the target was him. Then I am afraid that even if I am not dead, I will shed a layer of skin. 223, sure enough, I still underestimate Sannin. Although it is just a ninjutsu, ninjas of different levels can release the power and speed of ninjutsu or not at the same level at all. A small ninjutsu, the speed is so amazing. Fighting against such a monster, I am afraid that my current self is not an opponent yet. Can you hold on? Asuma. Jiraiya looked at Asuma, whose chest was pierced and bleeding like crazy. To be honest, such an injury is considered serious. Asuma's mouth was also bleeding. But he keeps swallowing, no problem. Master Jiraiya. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, don't talk. Leave this to me. If you can hold on, you can rest here. Saying that, Jiraiya slowly raised her head and looked at the three people standing in the gap. 3 brats, you are so strong. The matching just now is very good, choose. Jiraiya also heard the movement here and was attracted to her. It's just that he took out an Orochimaru's summoning beast on the way, which delayed a little bit of time. Fortunately, the 3 of them were stopped by Asuma, but what Jiraiya didn't expect was the matchup of the 2 brats just now. It almost killed Asuma instantly. Such a perfect match and strength are not weak. Among the 3 of them, the little ghost who beheaded with a big sword didn't have a strong breath. But the other 2 guys have strong breaths, and the chakra fluctuations on their bodies are also very stable. After killing so many root ninjas, chakra hasn't seen much consumption and can still maintain stability. It shows that neither of them is an ordinary ninja. But 2 people, one big and one small, this made Jiraiya very puzzled. A ninja who emerged from nowhere actually has such strength. 11. It's Orochimaru's subordinate. Hearing that Kimimara's eyes have changed, Jiraiya smiled when he saw it. It seems that he is indeed a big man. That guy Orochimaru is pretty good, he was able to train such powerful subordinates as you. Saying that, Jiraiya slowly walked towards the 3 of them. Since we can train subordinates of your level, it is more important for you to dress up as Anbu's ninjas at this time, to show off in Konoha and use marks. While talking, Jiraiya noticed the scroll behind Sasuke. That is. Suddenly Jiraiya remembered something. That scroll. Looks familiar. Is it the sealed book? That Orochimaru guy is obsessed with the sealed book. What the hell is that bastard trying to do? Jiraiya was a little angry. Orochimaru's previous defection Jiraiya is not good. Now Orochimaru wants revenge on Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen or something, and Jiraiya doesn't want to get involved. To be precise, he believed that Sarutobi Hiruzen could solve Orochimaru. But if Orochimaru wants to fight the doctrine of the sealed book, then Orochimaru has completely changed. Snatching the Book of Seals, every time the forbidden technique recorded on it spreads out, it will cause huge losses to Konoha and bring unprecedented disasters to the entire ninja world. This guy doesn't just want revenge, but wants to make a bigger noise. You 3. Keep the sealed book. At the same time, you don't want to get out of Konoha. I advise you not to force me to do it. For a moment, Sannin's sense of terror and oppression swept over. Sasuke instantly felt his body became a lot heavier. Is this the pressure from Sannin? It is indeed not something that ordinary ninjas can burst out of. Sasuke's palms began to sweat faintly. Gently exhaling, Sasuke took the sealed book from behind his back. Seeing Sasuke's actions, Jiraiya thought that Sasuke had retreated in spite of the difficulties. But the next second Sasuke hands it over to Shiro. Take it. Shiro caught the sealed book, and she looked at Sasuke worriedly. My lord. Let's run away. Escape? In front of the mad ghost Jiraiya, even if you run at full speed, you may not be able to escape. And more importantly, the opponent's strength is not enough to escape if they want to. Kimimaro glanced at Sasuke. You can't die, go first, I'll block this guy. Hearing this, Sasuke was stunned for a moment, but soon understood. This guy didn't say this for his own reasons, he wanted to go first for Orochimaru's sake. But Kimimaro alone. To be honest, Sasuke doesn't think he'll last long. And then Jiraiya will still catch up. At that time, while it is difficult for him to protect himself, it will be even more difficult to protect Bai. Why not join forces with Kimimaro now and see if we can block Jiraiya? That's right. Just blocking Jiraiya for a while is enough. The rest is left to luck. If luck is good enough, then one-tail Shuhei goes berserk, then it will be a chance to escape. The reason why I say it depends on luck, although now Gaara wants to wake up one-tail Shukuru, there is no longer Naruto as an obstacle. But also other Konoha shinobi may go to stop Gaara. Sasuke can't predict whether one-tail Shukaku can appear successfully. But what you can do now is to hold on for as long as possible. Without you leading the way, I can't find the place, so let's go together. Sasuke said lightly. Hearing this, Kimimara's expression became a little strange for a moment. But Sasuke didn't see his expression. Sasuke is now looking at Jiraiya intently. Facing Sannin, you can't be careless for a moment. Sharingan doesn't need to hide anymore. Facing an opponent of Jiraiya's level, Sasuke can't hide at all. The instant the scarlet eyes appeared, Jiraiya froze. Sharingan. This figure, could it be?